you told me that in your first year you did like $7 or $8 million in homes sold, which is just really good for a first year in real estate.
What matters is you and making that change for yourself to better yourself, better your family, and better your quality of life, really. Yeah. You have to know what to talk about, how to answer questions, how to get around objections, because objections are the hardest thing to work around.
Like I remember when I started in roofing, right? I knew nothing, and you just have to build that knowledge up over time, but you have to be hungry and interested in like, okay, I don't know the answer to that. Let me learn about that in my trade so I can be a better professional.
It's the intentions that you have today that make tomorrow a lot easier.
All right, everybody, welcome to Trust Business Podcast. I have a very special guest today, Kelly Fullick. Thanks so much for coming on, Kelly.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Kelly's a local realtor. She's actually based out of Sarasota, and today we're going to talk about basically understanding your clients in real estate. So, Kelly, you have an awesome background. You did 10 years of photography, and you did a lot of photography for realtors and of homes, and then now here you are, and you're actually operating in a realtor of your own, and a very successful one. I mean, we were talking off camera, and I mean, just extremely successful. So, thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Talk to me about you. Talk to me about kind of how you got into real estate, and then talk to me about that, what I just talked about, and how you differentiate yourself in that way.
Sure. So, to get down to the nitty gritty of things is where I really truly started was actually in the service industry, and the service industry was a great way for me to have, a more steady paycheck coming in. So I worked in the service industry for a really long time. It was actually my first job up until like my 41st birthday.
And which services?
This was actually me working in the restaurant business.
Nice.
So simultaneous to that, I did have and ran a photography company where I did a lot of headshots, a lot of branding for people, working for their e-commerce sites, and then a lot of times it was family photography. But really that was a big chunk of like certain time of the year where people were wanting to do their holiday portrait sessions and stuff like that. So moving from there, we just started seeing inside of our own town in much of Florida that, home prices were going up about 47%. So if your rent is going up, your equity is growing, the cost to buy into your hometown is climbing up substantially, and it's not equal to the pay that you are given. You're really put into a financial crisis situation where if you're not bettering yourself and wanting to do something with your life and with yourself to move and build yourself with everything else that's growing economically, you're gonna end up suffering. So what do I have? I've got 3 kids. One is now 21. My daughter is graduating from high school this year. She'll be at Western Carolina University. So again, other financial burdens that you're taking on a regular basis. So, and then my youngest is 12, so he just started middle school, and, down the road, he's going to be needing a car and, needing to get himself set up financially with school as well. And so what is a person like myself who's making on average of like $25,000 to $30,000 a year going to do when her kids really need her to step up to the plate? I don't like to be dependent on anyone else. Yes, I am married, but we have very similar finances. So, for me to put that weight on my husband, it doesn't make sense to me. So yes, there are lots of people that want to go out there and complain about how our economy right now is going and where it's headed. But really, it doesn't matter who's in that Oval Office. It doesn't matter who's sitting up in your Capitol. Any of those seats, it doesn't matter. What matters is you and making that change for yourself to better yourself, better your family, and better your quality of life, really. Yeah. So that's what really brought me into
personal responsibility. I love it.
Yep. Yeah. Just taking accountability for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me into real estate, and I really love real estate altogether. It's a fun way to get out there and meet people, learn new things, and that was really where my drive was. Is I love the education platform that is provided inside of this, real estate market division, however you want to call it. But there's just so much to learn that it keeps you busy year round. Like there's everything that could possibly entertain you.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. You're working in like the restaurant industry and you're making what you're making and all this. You have 3 kids, beautiful kids, and you're just like, okay, how do I be better for them, right? And you find this as a path to do that. So that's amazing to me, that personal responsibility, that kind of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, so to speak, to provide for them. I think that's amazing. But I think also that, you know, at least in my head, that could give you a lot of like empathy and understanding for maybe your clients, people
Absolutely.
who you're working for, whatever walk of life they might be at that point, whatever their income is at that point, that kind of thing. That really can humble you. I know it does for me, having started like in roofing, just on the roof and roofing one roof at a time for my dad. But anyway, so good. So talk to me about that. So you get into this, and then how do you've achieved? You told me that in your first year you did like $7 or $8 million in homes sold, which is just really good for a first year in real estate. And what you told me is your first 6 months was almost nothing, and then you started figuring things out, and then in those 6 months is where you achieved that success. So talk to me about how did you do that, and how did you take care of your clients and figure out how to achieve that kind of success?
So there's a lot of moving parts on this one.
Yeah.
The big one is confidence. You have to build your confidence. So when you're starting a brand new business from scratch and you really are entering a different playing field from something where like literally working was moving around, you know, carrying things, running, you know, you're doing work for others, and then you go into a business where you're like, this is working.
Yeah.
This is me working now.
Right.
So there's
That's
no
different.
more hustle. It's a different level of hustle.
Yeah.
So when you join into a brand new position, you have to learn how to educate yourself. You have to know what to talk about, how to answer questions, how to get around objections, because objections are the hardest thing to work around. So if you can work the mindset with someone else who holds these negative objections or visuals of what the real estate is going to look like, okay, interest rates are so high right now. They're really, really high.
Right.
Are they? Are they high?
Yeah.
And it makes somebody...
Right, because historically there have been times where interest rates were way higher than where they're at right now.
Way higher.
Yeah.
We're talking about 1980s. They were in the 18% category. Right. So over a 40-year spread of time, we're talking about an average of 7% interest rates.
Right.
Which is right now
what
we're at. Right. But you know, there's a lot of people that were used to a 5-year time where we had 2 to 3% interest rates, and now that seems to be like the new spoiled norm. Is like, right. I would never buy real estate in this market because of these interest rates. It's like, okay, well, do you want to pay rent? Because your rent is going to increase year over year. It's going to keep going up. The only way to actually have your finances remain in a plateau form is to buy real estate.
Yep.
You have your mortgage, it's the same every single month for years and years and years. Yeah. And you're building your equity out of that. So it's just changing the mindset. It's learning how to communicate with people and being really knowledgeable about the area. So, you know, if your dad or your brother came to me and said, hey, I want to buy in Sarasota, this is how much money I have. Okay, I understand. I know the market really well. I'll know right away what you can afford to purchase and where you can afford to purchase that. So it's just being really knowledgeable and understanding of what someone's needs are. Even if they're unrealistic, you can kind of tell them where realistically they can start. So it might not be something like them buying their dream house from day one if it's a first time home buyer. You know, this might be their first home that they're ever purchasing. You can't most likely buy your dream home in the first house.
Yeah.
What you're gonna get is you're gonna get your starter home. You're gonna live in it for a couple of years. You're gonna build up your equity, and then from there we can actually make some moves from there. But It's really about talking to someone, listening to their needs, and then just being really knowledgeable about the area.
Right, I like that. And something also that goes into this, we were talking about off camera, is, okay, in order to educate your clients like that and help them, you have to be extremely educated in your field yourself.
I sure
And
do.
when you start, you start in your own business or a new business, you might not know anything. Like I remember when I started in roofing, right? I knew nothing, and you just have to build that knowledge up over time. But you have to be hungry and interested in like, okay, I don't know the answer to that. Let me learn about that in my trade so I can be a better professional, right? And continuing that process so that then if you now really are the professional, you can take somebody, you can educate them, you can know what questions to ask and things of that nature. Like for me in roofing, I'm sure it's very similar to you. It's so important when you're going to start talking to a new potential relationship or a new client who you want to help out, asking them questions to understand where they're at, because everyone's different. One person might want the highest quality and value roof possible, and they really care about the process and the material choices and all these other things. There might be another one who's like, I'm flipping this house and want the cheapest roof possible. Like, okay, for me, I might not even be able to align with that person. I might be able to try, but it might not be a good fit. So understanding who that client is in front of you, what they need and want, and then tailoring your approach to help them at the end of the day is what we're here for in any business. So I love that. But talk to me about, that's an interesting thing in real estate, talking about the learning curve of that and learning to be a real estate agent and learning and understanding all that goes into that. What was that learning curve like? How did you conquer that?
It was pretty simple. When you join real estate, you have two options really. With residential, you have a couple of options. You can join a team.
Right.
A team is going to educate you. They're going to go through, what it's like to start your business.
Right.
And run it as a business. Or you can start as a solo agent and you can just be on the ground, hit the floor running if you can, but you're going to be learning everything that you can. So if you're one of those self-taught type people, maybe being a solo agent is a great opportunity for you. And, there's different commission bases when it comes to that. So a solo agent isn't necessarily going to have the commission splits that you would have with a team. So when it came to me joining, it was so important for me to have not only just one person, but a team of people holding my hands. Like, I need my hand held throughout this process because I'm just getting started. So it didn't make sense for me to just join in as a solo agent, not have a team. You're always going to have a broker, and you'll have, with each brokerage, they do always say, yes, we give you the education, we give you the platforms, we give you the systems, and we give you, all of the things. But a lot of the times, what your level of expectation is for education might not meet your needs when it comes to being a solo agent. So for me, joining a team was a no-brainer.
Yeah. It kind of fast tracks all of that.
It does. Yeah. It does. So, and what we were talking about a little off camera is when you join a team, they have all of your vendors already tried and true. So it all works out cohesively. As soon as you get an offer, you get it under contract, you assign those people that they've already been trying. So all of your vendors just kind of come together and seamlessly take your clients to closing. And that's really where it was so important for me in joining a team like Sarasota Home Specialists. If they do great work. They're a very successful team. Yeah. And once you feel ready to move on, you can leave that team whenever you're ready, and you can go out and be a solo agent whenever you're ready. In that time, it's not dedicated, it's not set up on necessarily on a contract, your employment contract with them. You can go whenever you need to. So if you don't feel like, maybe Sarasota Home Specialist isn't a good fit for you, come try it out. If it doesn't work, you can join another team, go be a solo agent, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, not all agents are cut from the same cloth, just like not all roofers are cut from the same cloth.
Sure.
Not all loan officers are cut from the same cloth, and not all my clients are cut from the same cloth.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of people that I will absolutely turn away because, at the end of the day, I've got to save and honor my own peace.
Yeah.
Because if it's not somebody that I'm willing to work with, I don't feel like I can get them to closing because they're just unrealistic.
Yeah.
There's no point in working with them at that point, and not everybody is worth my time. So, yes, the best way to put it.
Right, absolutely. I mean, if you align with a client who just doesn't align with your business model and what you're trying to do, it's just not going to work for you.
Absolutely.
You're not going to make money. You're not going to be successful, and that's a key. And knowing who to market to, and it starts with the marketing on that kind of thing. Like, I try to market high value, high quality service roofing company, and then I do that the whole way through. Then when my guy in inside sales or my receptionist picks up the phone, he also goes over that. Then my sales rep goes over that. Way we make sure the message is concise. Like, this is who we are. And that way we try to avoid getting into situations where with clients who don't align with us and what we stand for and stuff like that. But that's very, very important. What do you do if you end up linked up with a client who you're like, okay, I feel like maybe this was the wrong fit? Because no matter how hard you try to do it on the front end, sometimes you'll still end up in those kind of situations. And have you found situations where you manage to still persevere and maybe work with the client to get them to the point where you're able to work together, or more often you're just have to cut it and say, hey, I don't think we're the right fit for each other because of these reasons and that kind of thing?
That's a really great question. And I don't know how to really answer that one. For the long term, if I'm under contract with someone, let's say I take on a listing.
Yeah.
And, I've been working with this one couple. They're fantastic. They're super sweet, very nice. They're very respectful of my time. And, working with them has been amazing. when I started working with them, they came to me as a buyer. So they had it, their project was, they have a home in a very similar neighborhood to where they live now. So there's a neighborhood, it's called Country Club and Country Club East, and it's all the same golf community. They share the same amenities, but there's a dividing line there with road that goes in between. So it has, you know, the Country Club and Country Club East. Their project was, we want to purchase a house. And I said, that sounds great. You know, tell me what your motivation is. Like, tell me why it is that you want to buy a house. Well, we have a house that we live in already. We love the community. We love the neighborhood. We're a part of the membership here. We love it, but we just want to downsize a little bit. We feel like it's a little too much house for us.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it's a process of finding out exactly what their needs are, meeting their criteria, and then matching them to a home. So if you have a home that you're looking to buy, do you need to sell your house first and foremost in order to buy this? Because if so, there's a lot of moving parts. We need to put the horse in front of the carriage first.
Yeah.
So we found a house, they bought that house, and that's where you guys actually came into place, because that home needed a new roof, where the owner was very egotistical in thinking that their home was sound. There was nothing wrong with it whatsoever, and they did take.
Oh, nobody's selling their home thinks their home is perfect.
These particular sellers actually
I'm
did.
joking.
So
they almost always do. Man, my home is perfect. Everybody would want to buy it. Same with people selling business. My business is perfect. Everybody would want to buy it.
Exactly. But we do live in Florida, where we do have hurricane season here, and unfortunately, we've had 2 of them majorly hit our area in the past 5 years. So when you're taking on a new listing, and this is one of the things that I always stress to every seller is, look, if you're getting your home listed, you're gonna do a pre-listing inspection on this house, because I don't want any alarms to come up in any inspection. I wanna know fully what is happening with your roof, what's happening with the house in general, what's our handyman list look like, so that we can start making those repairs happen before we hit the market. So when we do get a buyer, we're ready to go. There's nothing of our concern that we have. So this particular house, we went under contract with, and you know, the house was in immaculate condition. Almost nothing on the inspection, except we had, of all people, we had Don go out from Trust Roofing. We had Don go out, and he inspected the roof, and on one of the tiles is a barrel tile roof. He moved over one of the tiles. It was just kind of out of order. And underneath it, he could see straight down inside the home. There was no underlayment there.
Really?
So it was a very scary thing to have to disclose to somebody. But at the end of the day, it's like, I understand that you thought your roof was in great shape, but because you didn't do your pre-listing inspection on it, you don't know what's happening with your roof. Now we have a roofing problem. So now we need to correct this. And you know, when you've got a great agent that's great with negotiations as well, we can go back and we can say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand your house is in fantastic shape. It really is. But we do have one major concern where water is actually intruding into the roof. Here's proof. I've got my trusty roof guy who's already up there, and he's showing me video of what's happening and what is seen in your roof. There is water getting into your home right now. We need to cure this right away, and then, you know, put a roofing contract into place, get it closed out 60 days after closing. It's all about what you know and who you know, and then you can make all your vendors come together, and then, you know, it all ends up working out. So to answer your question, when I start meeting people, first and foremost, I really want to get a sense of who they are. If they're realistic, if they're understanding, if they're kind. I don't like people that are very like in my face and want to like try and, you know, kick me, you know, just for being a realtor. Like, I get it. You don't like realtors. There's people out here, they don't like lawyers either. But if I'm getting into some legal trouble, you can bet I'm going to be calling up a lawyer's office and having somebody represent me. So why wouldn't you want to do that in the biggest purchase of your life? So, you know, it's like your biggest investment, you're going to go around not being represented. It just sounds funny to me. So there are some people that don't deserve me, and I'm okay with that. So when I go through the process, I want to first and foremost, I want to find out who they are as a person and if I want to work with them. And a lot of the times, I don't really have too many people that I don't want to work with, but there are signs along the ways. I've had one guy recently who I was showing property to, and he left his wife in New York. He came down, he was looking at property with me, And, you know, a lot of times we're meeting total strangers off the internet.
Yeah.
When you go to realtor.com and you inquire on a property, it makes it look like you're investing your time to contact the listing agent. Florida statute law does not allow dual representation. So you can't represent both sides without an agreement put into place already. So it is wrapped up into a lot of our contracts, but that's on the seller. The seller has to agree to allow you to represent both ends of the party. So in that case, you're not really representing anybody. You're a paper pusher and you're playing telephone. Like old back in the days, like somebody's gonna say cartoons at 9, and then like the next person cartoons at 9, and by the end, you know, it's a totally different saying. Somebody messed it up all the way down. So that is basically what it means to represent both sides of the party. You tell me a number, I tell this person a number, and then that person tells me a number, and this person. There is no more negotiations. You are at battle with the seller and the buyer, and all you're doing is playing mediator at that point. So it's not really a fun transaction to be in, because you can't really represent anybody, and as much as I want to help, I have to take a seat back. So when I'm meeting people, I want to make sure that we are aligning perfectly with what the job is and what our intentions are. Because if you're leaving your wife at home in New York and you're coming down to look at properties with me and you're meeting me for the first time in person, now I'm by any means, I don't claim to be the most beautiful person on the planet, but I will say that there has been a level of attraction that has been shown to me by people that I'm showing property with. It makes it very uncomfortable. It's very unprofessional. So in my eyes, if I see somebody that's a little too close, they should be looking at the home, not the listing papers that I've handed them. Like, let me handle the information, walk the house, tell me how you like the house, tell me what you're getting the feels for. If you have any questions along the ways, I'm happy to answer those for you. But if you're standing right next to me, like I get creepy vibes from some people, and so at that point I cut it short. I don't call you back. I'm never going to contact you again, and I'm sorry, but you need to find another agent. So there are
setting down boundaries like that are important, I think, in business. So
so you do have to worry about your safety a lot of the time. So there are preventative measures that we put into place. And that's why when you call me, and just because you just inquired on a home and I know that you want to go and see it right now, I'm not willing to just drop everything I'm doing to go and open up a door for you if I don't know how you're paying for that house, what your motivation to buy that house is, what your intentions are, how fast you're looking to purchase, and if you even are funded already. So if you don't have cash to pay for it, do you need pre-approval? Why aren't you shopping with a pre-approval already? Because we need the power of your purchase price.
Getting stuff into place,
knowing
before,
what we can purchase,
getting the intro steps done.
So if you just want a stranger to go and open a door, that's usually where we draw the line first and foremost. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to run around. So if you're expecting that, we're just going to end this conversation now.
Setting boundaries is important in business, and then I agree with that. You seem very motivated. Obviously, you've been relatively successful thus far in this. What are your goals with it? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in real estate and what you're doing here?
Sure. So in real estate, I just take it one day at a time. I live in Sarasota, so I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Especially with having a middle schooler here. His father is not with me anymore, so we co-parent together. So I would say in the next maybe 10 years, I would probably be making an adjustment or a change or something down the line. I want to reinvest what I make back into real estate. Nice. I want to buy investment properties for myself. I want to buy investment properties for my children, and make their legacy grow with what I do now. So it's the intentions that you have today that make tomorrow a lot easier. So
intentions you have today make tomorrow a lot easier. That was a good line. I like that.
Thank you.
Well, and I'm the same way. I want to have a big impact on my employees, on my clients, obviously on my personal life, and that motivates me every day. So, okay, Kelly. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Keep crushing it. Keep killing it.
Thank you so much.
We'll help each other with a lot of roofs, I'm sure.
Yes.
And rock and roll. So, if somebody is interested in talking to you about a property, I mean, you mainly obviously down the Sarasota area.
Yep.
What's the best way to contact or find out more about you guys and your guys' firm?
I mean, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Facebook, all the things. But if you look up my name, it's kellyfullick.com is my website. So anybody can find me on there. It's relatively easy. If you look up Sarasota Home Specialists, I'm on that team. You can find me on there as well. Also, SarasotaHomeSpecialist.com is our team website. So you can shop all of our listings that we currently have. It's a great team. We put together an A team for a reason, and
awesome.
One of the reasons why we work with you guys and are so effective working with you guys is because you guys never compromise quality with your pricing, and that's something that I trust in you guys. So
I appreciate it. We're trying to always be good pricing and great quality and great value. Thank you, Kelly. We'll put all those links into the description if anyone's interested in reaching out to you. And thank you so much for being on.